Hey, what's going on, guys? So today is Monday. We just had, our service, our Sunday service yesterday, and I thought about a couple of things that happened during that service. We were understaffed. We only had two people to really run our production team, and there were, just several things that happened that made me think and just want to reiterate as you are working with your production team. It is imperative that you set the tone for your service so that people are aware of what's going on. So when you are understaffed, so three things you should really consider when you're understaffed. So it will happen. At some point, somebody will call out. There are things that, prevent us from getting to church. There are opportunities that we take to take vacations with our families, or just some days people need time off. Or even if you're in a church that's understaffed all the time, it can be very difficult to produce or manage your service from a media standpoint if you are not careful. So Sunday was myself, and then it was our graphics media staff member that was here. But our service typically runs, we've got praise team, we've got a full band, we have announcements that are played, we have graphics, multiple screens, we send our signal into our overflow room, and we stream live. It's a lot to do for two people. So we also run 3 cameras. We're using ProPresenter for those that are joining us online. So it can be a lot. So I really just kind of want to cover a couple of things that may help you as you are understaffed. And don't feel bad if you are understaffed. Even if you're in some cases underskilled, these are 3 steps or 3 things that will help you in those areas. The first one is to identify what is actually needed and limit what is not absolutely necessary. We're mixing all of these different channels. One of the easiest things, easiest ways that I can tell you to identify what is not needed is even from a sound standpoint. Go in, mute all of the channels that you're not using. If this isn't something you already do, mute, turn down all of the channels that are not being used or do not have to be used. What you want to do is you want to limit any additional area for a problem to occur. So what I do is if we only have 1 keyboard player that day, but we have 3 keyboards in our church, I mute every additional line to avoid an issue with that. If my bass player is not here on a Sunday, we mute that bass line. If we're not running tracks that Sunday, then we mute those track lines to ensure that we don't have problems with those lines, and then they don't end up being issues for us going forward. Same way with other areas in our church. If we're not using the camera, we turn those cameras off. If we're not using whatever we're not using, we identify it and we limit what is absolutely not necessary. The second thing that we really do, we communicate our capabilities. One area that I messed up in Sunday is I had to re-record our announcements because we made a change to it. I tried to make sure that the announcements were good. We recorded them, but when I exported, I didn't take into account checking those announcements or playing them over our system before I put them in the service folder for us to play during service. Sure enough, we played the announcements, and the announcer ended up getting cut off because of a formatting issue in Adobe Premiere. So what I didn't adequately do, and I should have done a better job at, was communicate, what I was capable of doing. I probably should have said, hey, you know what? We will just announce them from stage. We will identify, what's coming up for that next week, because I really did it in crunch time. It is very, very important that you are able to communicate your capabilities. If you're working with a limited staff, if you are understaffed on a Sunday, things just as, not using your lapel mic. At a lot of churches, it's not a regular occurrence to use the lapel or lavalier or different types of mic. If you don't have the staff to manage those things, then it's really important for you to communicate what you are capable of doing. Sometimes our praise team is understaffed and we only have 2 or 3 people. So what we try to do is we try to communicate with the pastor. We try to communicate with the leadership team to say, hey, we really don't have as many people as we want this week. So maybe that big song that you would love for us to sing, we don't have the ability to sing it today. So, we have to make sure that we're constantly in communication with our leadership team, with whoever's running service, so that we're aware of the expectations for the service. And what we try to do is we try to have a huddle prior to service each week so that we can go over all of the different aspects of our service. We discuss who's opening with prayer. We talk about, how long praise and worship is expected to last. We discuss who's doing the transitions, so who's doing our welcome, who may be doing our offering, and we even cover who is covering altar call. As much as possible, we send out a notice of who is actually doing these things so that our leadership team, when we get here on Sunday mornings, everybody is aware, but we have that meeting just to discuss if there's any specials going on, if there are any arts ministries or special presentations. This allows us to adequately and accurately communicate our capabilities for that service. It doesn't always happen, but we have a typical standard or flow order of service. And so by default, we go there, but we really do our best to communicate what we're capable of doing. There are going to be times where you have volunteer, or you have new staff members, or you have new photographers. And so it's very important to set the expectation for what you're looking to happen during that service. Sometimes we just can't get it done. There's sometimes where there's a song where a musician may not be able to play it. And so we do our best to really communicate what that is. The third thing that I try to do is we try to use, and this is very important, to use the appropriate tools that you need when you're understaffed so that you can meet those expectations and those capabilities. What am I talking about? I'm talking about things such as using soundboards that you can operate remotely. So for instance, we run the Behringer X32. A lot of the digital boards now give you the option to run your soundboards with an iPad, okay? And with that iPad, it gives me the flexibility to walk around and maneuver around my church, where we may have somebody else, listening to ensure we're not too loud or that the mixing in the sanctuary sounds good. But with my iPad, I can walk around and roam around service and communicate back to my sound booth. So that's one way we use the right tools. We use open air headsets as well. So all of the cameramen keep one. The production director has one. Our media and graphics technician for that Sunday has one. If we have a sound man in a different area, everyone wears, headsets so that we can communicate what's coming next. How much time do we have left? And the goal is really to use that resource or that tool to ensure that we're all on the same page. We work really, really, really hard to communicate. So it's very important that you have, the right tools when you're doing it. As it relates to, our post service, the tools that we use a few tools when you're understaffed that really helps us get our services edited. One of the number one tools we use Summary GPT. It's an extension that we use that helps us once we've uploaded our sermon to YouTube. It helps us to transcribe the YouTube video. And then from that video, we use tools, Claude, we use Bard, we use ChatGPT to help us identify parts of service or quotes from service or summaries so that we can appropriately write our YouTube description. So we use that. Then we upload our service either from that YouTube link to video.ai. This is one of the best tools that we use. Video.ai helps create snippets of our service. Now, there are other things out there. You've got sermon shots, Opus Clip, but right now we're using Video AI, and it is very, very useful tool that helps us pull out, specific parts of service. It helps us, reformat. And we use these for social media. We use them for YouTube. We use them, for all types of reasons. So once we upload that to Video AI, we can generate our short form content that was based on our long form. So now once we do that, then we use Chat GPT, or we use other tools that help us, break down our service to identify hashtags and develop, quotes from the service. Using the right tools, during service is extremely important, because when you're understaffed, it is very important. Not everything is very costly. Using the right tools significantly makes your service easier. The more simple you can scale your service to, the better the quality that you actually put out. I hope this is helpful. My name is Isaiah. I'm with Capture Media Solutions. If you or your church needs help, feel free to reach out to us.